やばいやばいやばい。めちゃくちゃグダグダしてる。おい、過去一ぐらいグダグダしてる。これゲーム音ってないっぽいな。多分ですけど、これ、ゲーム音来てないですよ。ロパッティ、こんばんは。ちょっと待ってください。これなんでゲーム音来てないんだ？わかった。音声入力キャプチャーで足そう。足せないんだ。なわかった。これを一回消して、アプリケーション音声キャプチャーベータ版。これか。でかそう。なんかね、人が喋ってる声が出る。そんなにでかくないか。ね、英語の海外の人が喋ってるオフィスの音みたいな。これできたんじゃないか。でも結構ちっちゃいかも。これでかすぎか。こんなもんにしとくか、一旦。戻る。ツイッターがぶっ壊れてることに気を取られて、めちゃくちゃ遅れちゃった。スタンレイパラブルウルトラデラックスをね、ゲームで買ったんで、やっていきたいと思います。これね、まだね、多分ガヤガヤの音だけなんで、なんかでかかったり小さすぎたりしたら教えてください。ゲームを始める。
This is the story of a man
あ、
named
うるせえ。
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending,
いいな、
Stanley
この
relished
感
every
じでお
moment
金
that
もらえ
he
るんだっ
was
たら。
in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi.
あれ、会社
Never
倒
in
産した
all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
あ、自分がスタンリーなんだね。ちょっと待って、感度高すぎ。ゲームプレイ、カメラ感度1とかにしとこう。今、振り向き20センチって感じだった。あ、やべ、戻っちゃった。はい。みんな上司とかどこ行っちゃったの？ちょっと待って。WASD の移動一歩でかすぎ。みんなどこ行っちゃったの？一人一部屋なんだ。 こんな書類あるけど指一本でカチャカチャやってるだけだったらいらないぞ。なんか書いてある。株はナイスでいいかな。わかんないです。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
臨時休校だったことを忘れて自
No
分一
matter
人だ
how
け行っ
hard
ちゃうみたい
Stanley
なやつね。
looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
なんか勝手にナレーションしてくれんな。めっちゃ動きぬるぬるしてんのこれ。誰もいない。なんかカップに書いてある文言が全然違う。シャープ1ダットって何？それ散らかってる。ここも同僚の部屋？マジで誰もいないじゃん。そんな、あれ部屋の中央にあんな感じでプリンター置くことあるか？こっちはなんか違う感じだな。あ、書いてある。I hate なんとか days って書いてある。あ、なんか書いてある。わかんないけどね。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
左のドアに入りました。左のドアに入りました。一旦ここは話聞いとこうかな。左の部屋に入ろう。閉められた？戻れないんすね、これ。マジで誰もいないじゃん。白すぎ。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
上の部屋が上司の部屋だ。RIP フローズ。死にましたフローズ。ミーティングルーム。これ何のミーティングしてんの？なんかここでぼーっとしてみようかな、上司に逆らって。これなんかすごい昔、なんかそれこそ何年前、7、8年前ぐらいにアルティメ、なんかこれはデラックスエディションみたいなやつなんだけど、それになる前のやつを若干見て覚えてないわ。全部なんかいろいろ書いてあるけど全然読めん。なんか気が狂ってきちゃったな。一周して戻ってきた。一周したの全部スライド見たな。ボスの部屋に上の階って言われたよね。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
一旦指示中に全部あれだな、指示されてみよう。ボスのオフィス。これ感度1なんだけど、なんか高えな感。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
ナレーションが言っちゃったから分かっちゃったじゃん。28? なんだった ?45 とかだった。
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck.
すごいなじゃなくて、
He
君が
stepped
教えて
into
くれ
the
ちゃったよ。
newly opened passageway.
うわ、真っ暗になったと思ったら。これが新しい道ですか？裏やん。なんか、セットみたいになってる映画の。これもしかして、なんか仕組まれてました。エレベーターだわ。
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
マインドコントロール施設。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
あ、こっちに行けるんだ。これジャンプとかできないの？できないんだね。スタンリーさん、血を這うことしかできません。一体、あ、監視カメラオン。
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
はあはあ、なるほどな。スタンリーは仕事してるって思ってたけど、それ監視されてるだけだったのね。
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
お、なんか。
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable.
ナレーションが喋るから
Was
喋
it
る隙
even
がないぞ。
possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the
まあそうだよ
world?
ね。なんか真実を知ったらちょっと違うよな。
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
マインド制御装置をぶっ壊せか。この辺とかはいけないですか？いけないですね。向こうか？ファクトリーパワー。電源落とそうぜって。何この5？押せないし。マインドコントロール、アイドル、ウェイティング。
And when at last he found the source of the room's power,
オフとオンが
he
できる
knew
の
it
ね。
was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
オンにしちゃおうかな。
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the
あ、もうナ
event
レー
that
ション
this
の方が
machine is
力が強いんだ
activated
ね。
without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode,
核爆弾
eliminating
って
the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes.
あ、ひどい
Now
ひど
this
い
is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine.
逃げろって。
You are the star. It's your story now.
オフとかもできない
Shape
の？
it to your heart's desires.
嘘、
Oh, this
逃げ
is
よう。
much better than what I had
逃げ
in
るしか
mind.
ないじゃん、
What a
じゃあ。
shame we have so little time
あ、う
left
る
to
さいうるさ
enjoy
い。
it.
なんかずっと言
Mere
ってるぞこいつ。
moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you,
あ、なんか開いてる。
about me, where we're going.
あ、
What
閉
all
ま
this
るな。
means, I barely know where to start.
はい。
What's that?
もうどこから。
You'd like to know where your co-workers are?
お前、
A moment of solace before you're obliterated.
消滅する前の
All
癒しのひ
right,
とと
I'm in a
き。
good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to
あ、
them.
待って、これ
I
1234
erased them.
って順番に
I
押すとか
turned
そういう
off
こ
the
とか。
machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying
待って、
alone.
4と5の場所
Other
分かった。
times, I let the
123
office
がどこ？
sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing.
面白い
Watching you
バージョン
try
とか
to
自
make
分で言う
sense of everything and
何
take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich.
あ、
I
ここに
almost
あるな。
hate to
3
see
ね。
it go.
2、1
But
が
I'm
どっ
sure
かにある
whatever
は
I
ず。
come up with on the next go around will be
あー、うる
even
さいうるさい。なん
better.
かずっとこいつ喋
My
ってるじゃん。
goodness, only 34
あ、
seconds
34秒。
left. But I'm enjoying this
30
so
秒
much.
押せるわけないっ
You
て。
know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra
あ、
time
何
on
こ
the
れ。
clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees.
あ、なんかあいつ慈悲で。
Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be
Eh?
doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that
cool.
timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean,
なるほどね。
running from button to
なんか画面に書いてある。
screen to screen, clicking on every little thing
一
in
番
this
の
room.
もうこの部屋の
These
数字のボタ
numbers,
ン
no, these
色のやつ
colored ones, or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me.
お
Why
ボ
would
タン
you
押
think
せ
that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? One
こ
soul?
のこの
Do
ゲ
you
ームで
have
とか言う
any
な。
idea what your
メタいんだ
purpose
け
in
ど
this place is?
これ逃げ出せってことだろ。い
Stanley,
やでもなんかね、
you're in for quite a disappointment.
押し
But
て
here's a
みたいじゃ
spoiler
ん。
for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds
判定
ticking
出てる
away
ところ
to
で
your
3押
death.
す。
You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless.
そ
To
んな
see
ひどいぞ
you
お前なん
made
か。
humble.
あ、
This is
3
not
を
a
押すと
challenge.
何
It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't.
グッドバイ。
Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle.
グッバイって言われちゃったよ。
A big boom and then nothing. No
あ、
ending.
30秒
Just you
何ができるんですか、
blown
30
to
秒。
pieces.
エンディングないの？
For your life. Or will you let it go peacefully?
あ、待って、画面用意す
Other
るよ、このす
choice.
ごい。
Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the
核爆
moment we
発
fade
エン
in
ドですか？
until the moment I say happily ever up.
ナレーターずっと喋ってて喋る隙を与えてくんないぞ。あ、戻ってきた。核爆発エンドなの。なんか変わるのかなこれで。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it
じ
mean?
ゃあもう今回
Stanley
反抗し
decided
ま
to
くろ
go
う。
to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
で、左の
When
ドア
Stanley
でしょ。
came to a set of two
右のドア
open
行
doors,
く。
this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
うん、知ってる知ってる。
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to
遊
admire
業
it.
員ラウンジ。それ以外に入れる場所ってなんかあるか。ないか。遊業員ラウンジ。 綺麗なラウン
Yes,
ジ。
truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments, but eager to get back to business,
でも
Stanley
早
took the
く
first open
左
door
に
on
戻っ
his
て最
left.
初の左のドアに入りました。入らないです。
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years
何年も
ago.
クビにならなかったことが。そうだよ。こんなに指示に従わないのによくクビにならなかったな。倉庫
Look, Stanley,
Wow.
I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
あ
I'm
の
not
さ
your
じゃない
enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing in your trust in
こんなこ
someone
と言っ
else can
て
be
あなたさっき
difficult.
核
But
爆
the
発
fact
エンド
is
にし
that
て
the
たじゃん。
story has been
あそ
about
この
nothing
扉
but
行きたい。
you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stan.
よっ
Really? I was in the middle of
マジ
something.
です。
Do you have zero consideration for others?
他
Are
人へ
you
の思いやり
that
とかゼロな
convinced
の
that I want
いや、
something bad to happen to you? Why?
ゲ
I
ームを
don't know
楽し
how
み
to
たいだけだよ。
convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side.
味
Give me
方
a
だって証明
chance.
させて。
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
赤いドアじゃあ青いドア行っちゃおう。ナレーターの皮
Perhaps
肉
you
おもろいよ。
misunderstood. Stanley
誤解しちゃったのかな。
walked through the red door.
青いドアに入って、
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
あ、青いドアあるじゃん。
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
まあな。
You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted?
デ
Was
ベロ
it
ッパ
worth
ーテクスチャ
ruining the
ー。ここに
entire
ね、
story I'd written out
128番の
specifically for you?
テク
You
スチャ
not
貼り
think I
ま
put
す
a
の
lot
や
of
つ。
time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see.
無駄だっ
Help
た
me
かど
here,
うかわ
Stanley.
かんな
Help
い。
elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill
Vehicle
trees?
skill
Work
tree.
with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far.
別ゲー
Tell
に
you
なっ
what,
ちゃうからな。
let me take a stab in the dark at a new design and you can give me some feedback.
新
There
デ
we
ザイン。
go.
あ、第
Third
3の選
option.
択肢。
This already feels leaps ahead of where we
おい、
were
テクスチャ飛ん
before.
でるもん
Go
ね。
ahead,
第3の
Stanley.
選択肢
Take
増や
it
し
for
ちゃ
a
ったから。
spin.
あった。試してみるよ。
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now,
はい。
tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices?
メリットはあり
Feel
ました
free
か
to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
これに満足度1から5ってこと？でもね、ナレーターが
One?
かわいそうな様
I
み
mean,
た
I
いか
can
ら1にし
understand
ちゃ
if
う
you。had reservations, you saw ways the game could be improved to more fully express itself mechanically and artistically, but a one? That's not even helpful. What am I supposed to do with that? But I guess it isn't my place to judge.
まあ、Steam
Here,
でね、こ
based on
の
the data from your
テクス
previous
チャ貼ってない
playthrough,
ゲームあっ
I've
たら星
compiled a new
1だぞ。
version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's
ホ
take
ーム
a
ラン級
look.
に申し訳ない。本当に。お。何？ザ・スタンリー・パラブル。ワールドワイド。レアボード。ああ、RTA みたいなこと？This is you。もう最下位じゃん。9328人中9328位だぞ。これ見せられて何だったっていうの。あ、しゃあない。もう一回言ってあげよう、こっちに。
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking
対
through
戦のリ
doors?
ーダーボード。
Again, honest answers, please.
あれがあるからなんだって言うんだよね。1です。
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now
新しい
would
ゲ
be
ー
a
ムの
lovely
試作。
opportunity to give it some playtesting.
まあまあ
You
まあ、そ
wouldn't
れで
mind
ちょっと
taking a
評
look
価
at
を
it,
考
would
え
you?
ようかな。
Perfect. Let me boot it up.
新しい
In
ゲ
this
ーム。
game,
何これ？
the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game. all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of
綺麗ゲー
family
ム。
life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4
4
hours.
時間
So why don't you give it 4 hours of
これ
play
マジで
to
4時
make
間やった
sure
ら
it's
変わんのか
effective?
な。
Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
なんか雑魚いクッキークリッカーみたいな感じじゃんね。燃えちゃえ燃えちゃえ。
You heartless
血
bastard.
も涙も
Did
ない
you
野
do
郎
it because you hate babies or purely to spite me?
だって
Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm out. I'm done. It's over.
おい投
Thank
げ
you
出
for
しちゃったよ。
playing. Your input was extremely valuable.
はいはい、あり
Okay,
がとう、
since
あ
my
りが
games
とうに
are
なっちゃった。
awful, why don't we play someone else's game just to ease the pain? Let's see. What do we have here?
もう投げ出しちゃった。
Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
もうナレーター投げ出しちゃった。え、何これ
Ah, fascinating. What do you think this
これ
game is
別
about,
ゲーじゃん。
Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation?
これ知ってるぞ、このゲーム。
Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in
キ
your
モタワー
tower,
から罪のない
perhaps
市
for
民
some。sort of twisted erotic purpose.
おい、キモいって言ったの、こいつ。
Yes, that must be it. What a
私のことキモい
fascinating
って言っ
venture
た
into
ぞ。
the experience of total mental depravity.
ファイヤーウォ
So
ッチですよ
far, I
ね、こ
love
のゲーム。
everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's
フ
even
ァイヤーウォ
more.
ッチ確かにちょっ
Come,
とおもろ
let's
かった
venture
けど。
outward and see what else is out there.
まあもう、別ゲーじゃん。音楽も違うしね。ファイヤーウォッチであっちに塔がある。いいよ、もうなんか、スタンリー最初からこのゲームの主人公だったってことになって。
No, 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 it can't be.
無理何が無理
It
なの
is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off.
おお。
Thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that
オープンワール
thing.
ド。あれ抜け道
That big
見
open,
け。
just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any.
通れない。
Oh, thank heavens we avoided it.
あ、通れないじゃん。ひどいことするよ。
Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game.
え、別ゲー
Preferably
や
something
らせてくれん
with
の
walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
確かにね、オープンワールドをさせられちゃうと、
Okay.
一気に崩壊
I
する
think
から。
this will be just the thing.
どれ何でもやらせてくれる。
Wonderful.
ロケッ
See,
トリ
this
ー
is
グだよ、これ。
exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in.
走り
There
回る
isn't
って
any
走るとかない
possibility
から、
that
こ
you
れ
could
ジャン
get
プとか。
lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
確かにね、このゲームで迷子になるようにないけど。ロケットリーグやん。
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are
Right.
lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm
まあ
seeing that there's a
サッカー
ball of
車
some
でサッカー
kind
やる
back
ゲーム
here.
だからね、
Is
これ
this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
ガチロケットリーグじゃん、マジで。ほら。走る速度が速くなってる。急ぎで
Are
作
you
ってる
doing
か
it?
ら、
Are you winning? Is
壁
this
と壁が
fun?
つながって
Is
ない
it
の。
better than
お
my
もろい。
miserable little story? Hold on. What are you doing?
落ちちゃったよ。あ、戻ってきた。
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you.
声が遠
How will
い。
you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
あ、ナレーター。ナレーターが手に召されちゃった。本当に開発途中のところに迷い込んだみたいになってる。あ、どんどん落ちてくる。え、廃墟に来た。急にホラゲーみたいなの始まったぞ。全然自分はホラゲー大丈夫なんで大丈夫なんだけど。暗っ。 なんか開発途中とかじゃなくて、そういうマップだもんね。行き止まりだった。どこに行けるんだ？どこに行けるんだ？やべ、全然迷路だ。まずい。音痴なんだよ。アルティメットウルトラデラックスエディション、あっちは軽いになってから若干いろいろな要素が足されてるんだよ。だから多分昔スタンリーやった人でも楽しめるんじゃないかって言われてる。何ここ？今度向こうが軽い。
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now.
ナレーター戻っ
I
てきて
wonder
くれ
if
た
he's
じゃん。
happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy
ダークディ
cost
セプ
that
ション
comes
確
with
か
it.
に。
He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion.
包み
That's
込む
who I
誰かっ
am.
て。
That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this
戻って
ends,
きてくれ
after
た。
it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
マジで待ち？おい、ナレーター戻ってきてよ。あ、戻ってきた。
All of his
なんか
co-workers were gone. What could it
ど
mean?
こ
Stanley
で
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps
宝
he
を
had
かな。
simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his...
右
This
に
was
行
not
っ
the
てみよ
correct
う。
way to the meeting room, and
さっき
Stanley
の
knew it perfectly well.
こっち行きたいで降
Perhaps
り
he
ちゃっ
wanted to
たエ
stop
レベ
by
ー
the
ターみたいなや
employee
つを
lounge first,
そのま
just
ま
to
行ってみよ
admire
う。
it. Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank
ゴージャ
goodness
スかそ
Stanley
んな
had
に。
taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life without having experience
こ
in
の
this
部屋
room
なし、こ
was
の
now
部屋
too
の体験
horrible
なしの
even
人
to
生なんて
consider.
そんなに大行に言うほどのものじゃないぞこれ。
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
そうだ、これ入ってみよう。
And so he detoured through the maintenance
メンテ
section,
ナンス部屋。
walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back
あ
on
あ、向
track.
こうに行くとあれなんだね。さっきのプロジェクターがあった会議室に行くんだね。じゃあ行っちゃおう。じゃあ行っちゃおう。
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's,
ナレーターもしかして道覚えてない？
oh no.
あ、違う、
No, it's
右。
to the right, my mistake.
これ入ろうとしたら、いや、
No,
左
not
とか
the
言われ
right.
るでしょ。
Why would I have ever said it was to the right?
おい、しっ
What
かりして
was
くれ
I
よ。
thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's
髪
see.
がガサガサ
We're
言う
down
音。
right, left, down, left,
シ
right.
ナリオ把握してないぞ、こい
Yep,
つ。
okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
第3の選択肢が出てきちゃった。右とか左とかじゃなかったじゃん、そもそも。なんかすげえ暗いけど。
No, 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 no. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler.
ネタバレ
Look,
しちゃう。
Stanley, close your eyes.
いやいや、
Okay. We just have to get back
さっき
to
見たからね、こ
oh,
のエンドは。
who am I kidding?
なんて
It's
ね。
all rubbish now.
もう
Whole
全然
story
ダメだわ。
completely unusable. How about rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the
おい、
beginning.
こんなに
And
迷っ
this
てんなら
time,
最初からやっ
suppose
た
we
方が
don't
早いだ
wander
ろうって
so
こと。
far off track, Okay, from the top.
あ、戻されちゃった。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
これ一回左また行ってみようかな。
When Stanley...
え
Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely
す
fresh.
ごい。
Everything should be... Oh, did something
元に
change?
戻ったと思ったら
Stanley,
扉増えて
did
る。
you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors?
あ、変えて
Did you
ないです。
move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story.
そうだよ
Right
ね。
here just a minute ago.
ナレ
I
ータ
know
ーが
for
作ったん
sure
だ
that
か
it's
ら、
here
ナレーター頑張って
somewhere.
くれ。
Okay then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
ストーリーを見つけようぜじゃないね。待って、これさ、いけないもんな。行動頑張っても。こっちからだったらいけるのか。ナレーターちょっとおもろくていいな。迷路やん。あ、迷路です。なんかバックルームみたいな。あ、戻ってきちゃったよ。
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can
そうだよね。
promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again?
こんなリスタ
Well,
ー
I
トして
find
ま
it
たうまく
unlikely
い
that
く
we'll ever progress by starting over and over again.
そうだよね。
It's
こ
gotta
こ
be
でバ
better
グって
than
たら多
this.
分進まな
Okay,
いぞ。
let's give it a shot. Why not?
一回ね。一回初めに戻してみよう。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
なんか変わってたりしないよな、ここ。なんかちょっとナレーター可愛くなってくる。ああ、もう
Okay,
扉が
yeah,
な
it's
い。
worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if
別
we
の
missed
方向に
anything?
戻ってみる。ああ、一回ここの部屋から出てみて。もっと来た道に戻ってみる。何もここら辺は変わってないもんね。
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The
どここここ
story.
ここ。
Here it comes. No, wait.
いやい
Never
やいや
mind. Not the
何にも
story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
足取りをたどってみましょう。ぐるぐるしてるだけだからね。うわ、うわうわうわうわ。
Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I
これ
don't
あの
think
スト
so.
ーリー。
I can't quite
違うと
recall,
思う。
but I
なんか
believe
急
my
に
story
リア
took
ルになっ
place
た
in an office building. Is that correct?
そうだよ。
Do you
オ
remember,
フィスビル
Stanley?
で私たちうろうろし
Well,
て
do you
た
know
の。
what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win!
イ
Congratulations!
エーイ。
I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off. So,
何
good
に勝った
job.
ねんこれ。ユーウィンじゃないよ。
No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was
何
not
に
one
勝っ
of
たか
those
もわからない謎の
situations.
勝利を手に入れたとこ
Okay?
ろで嬉しくな
I'm
いぞ。
getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
もう一回リスタート。あ、今度は
All right,
下に道が
I've
でき
got
て
a
る。
solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line.
アドベンチャー
Just
ライン
follow the
TM。
line. How simple is
商
that?
標だ。これに沿っていけばいいんだね。あ、これがあったからには、道を間違えないぞって言おうとしたら全然違う方に行ってるぞ、これ。アド
You
ベンチ
see,
ャーライン。
the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction.
あ、
Onward,
これはストーリ
Stanley,
ー
to
を表示してく
destiny.
れる。
Though,
メス
here's
リ
a thought.
運命へと。
Wouldn't wherever we
はい。
end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or put
なん
it
か哲
another
学的
way,
なこと言い出し
is
た。
the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is
もう
inevitably
どうしようも
conjured
なくな
into
ってこい
being
つ哲学
by
的
the
なこと
very
言い出しちゃった。
manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa, 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 whoa. Hang on.
おー
That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I
はて
was
だ出
going
てき
with
たは
all
て。
that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the
あ、
mood.
そうだよね。音楽欲しいよね。 うるさいうるさいうるさい。エレクトリカルパレードみたいな。うるさいうるさい。でかいでかい。なんでこんなディズニーっぽいんだ、しかも。あ、ディズニーアトラクションだよこれ。アドベンチャーラインに沿っていけば新しいストーリーが戻る。はい。シダを見よう。
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No.
そう、オフィスに戻ってきちゃったよ。
Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley parable, right? The story is... Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
リスタート。アドベンチャーラインに従わずに行ってみるか、次。
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Oh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
この方向性。なんかまた別ゲーの世界へ迷い込ませてくれるか。
Yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild.
ぐるぐるしてるぜ。
Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
いや、剣と盾を持ってなんか魔王とか倒しに行くのどうか。
No, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story.
さっき裏切られたからな、LINE には。
Just don't acknowledge it.
それ TM、まあ、商標だからね。いちいちつけないといけないよな。あ、天井に登っちゃった。さようなら。
Wow. A choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here.
そうだね。ここは慎重になった方がいい。1分ぐるぐる歩いてみましょう。
So I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse wall's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic.
ロジックの勝利っていうか、何でもなかったぞ今。
Destiny awaits.
混乱エンド。
The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times?
8回目のリスタート。ナレーターがいなくなる。ついにスタンリーが死ぬ。
It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? 1回目のスタート、2つのドアがあるせいで、さらに追加のドアがたくさんあることを発見する。あ、これだね。 blank simply because it's written here on this thing wall.
混乱エンドスケジュールを見つける。だから今4回目のリスタートのところにいるんだ。
Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean...
止まったよ。
Did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule?
運命を変えられた。
How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey.
これでリスタートしたら混乱エンドの5回目のリスタートになるもんね。
And not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually.
そのう
Well,
ち
in the
ね。
meantime, if you
あ、強制リスタートだ。マジで強制リスタートにされた。
all of his co-workers were gone, what could it mean?
何
Stanley
事もない
decided
か
to
のよ
go
う
to the
に
meeting room.
話し
Perhaps
始
he
め
had
た。
simply missed a memo.
ナレーター君、さっきまでの記憶がなくなっちゃった。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
左のドア、もう一回行ってみよう。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his... Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
だって何があるんだい？
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours.
この
He
板なん
might
か
be
見たことあ
fired
る。
for that. And in such a competitive economy,
こん
why
な
had
競
he
争
taken
社
that
会の中、
risk?
このようなリ
All
スクを、
because
な
he
ぜこのようなリ
believed
スクを負ったので
everyone
しょう。
had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy.
なんかルー
And
プし
then
てるこれ。
something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all.
まあ、あ
None
り
of
え
it
ないもん
made any
ね。
logical sense.
同僚が一
And
瞬
as
で消え
Stanley
てる。
pondered
今日
this,
会社が
he
休み
began
みた
to
いでは
make
ないもん。
other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked
確かに
down?
足元が見
Why
える。
did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar.
ずっとルー
Were
プ
they
してるね、
simply
これ。
repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming! He yelled. This is all
これ
a
は夢。
dream.
これは夢。
Oh, what a
夢落ち、
relief
夢落
Stanley
ち。
felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His
どっかに
co-workers
頭ぶ
weren't
つけ
actually
て
gone.
目覚め
He
ようぜ。
wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I
退
may
屈
as
な
well
現実。
enjoy
もう
this
退
while
屈
I'm
だと思っ
still
ちゃってるじゃ
lucid.
ん。
So he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
おおおお
Then
お
he
浮いてる浮いて
imagined
る。
himself soaring through space on a magical star field, and it
マジ
too
カルスター
appeared.
フィール
It
ド
was
に乗
so
り。
much fun, and Stanley
あ、明
marveled
晰夢
that
だ。
he'd still
夢が
not
夢だ
woken
と分
up.
かってるやつだよ
How
ね。
was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps
夢
the
じゃなかったって。
strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating
そう、
everything
なんで
that I'm
頭の
doing
中の
and
ことを全部
thinking?
ナレーターが言ってるのか
Now
って
the
ね。
voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley,
これ
who
は思
found
う。
it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How
夢
could
で
it
はな
be? Was Stanley
夢ではな
simply
い
deceiving
かな。
himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now
スタンリ
as he's
ー、
ever
彼
been
の
in
人
his
生の
life.
中で一番目が覚めている
Now,
状態。
hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not
そん
see
な
him
ことない。
float and make
こ
the
れは夢
magical
だと。
stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up.
お、寝ちゃ
He
う。
felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over.
もう夢だと気づ
Let
い
me
ちゃっ
go
たから
back。to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job.
あ、
All
既
I
婚者さ
want
ん、
is
ス
my
タン
life
リーさん。
exactly the way it's always been.
妻がいたんだ。
My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine.
これしかし目が覚めるとそこはま
I
だ
am
じゃないの。
okay.
そうだよね。ですが、
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
夢落ちエンドか。
This is the story of a woman named
マリエ
Mariella.
ラ違う人になったぞ。
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed,
That
gathered her
Mariella-
belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk.
スタンリー
And
発
although she
狂エン
would
ドって
soon
こと。
turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel
やばい人を
better.
見て自分がまだ
Then
正
she
常側であ
remembered
る
the
っ
meeting
て
she had
安心
scheduled
しちゃう
for
タイ
that
プじゃん。
day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
あ、スタンリー発狂エンド。いいお話でした。いいお話だったかな。なんか感動的な締めくくりにされ
A
たけど、
soft wind blew
なんか
outside
ちょっ
and
と違くな
perhaps
い？
rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly
なん
after.
かナレーター
Stanley
が違う
hoped
こと
that
言
he
って
would
る。
one day see weather.
うん、そういえばなんか窓の外っていう景色がないよね、このゲーム。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it
あ
perfectly
りがとうご
well.
ざいます。見て
Perhaps
く
he
れた。
wanted to stop by the
見てく
employee
ださった
lounge
方。
first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime,
おや
a
すみ
work
な
of
さい。
art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
これこのまんま前行って、
Stanley was so bad
あ
at
れに乗
following
ろう。
directions, it's incredible
これ
he
にずっ
wasn't
と乗り
5
続けよ
years
う、一
ago.
旦。
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about.
ゲームをでけ。もうちょい下げ。6時にしとこう。
Please,
はいはい。
stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
彼女のため。何彼女って。誰よそ
This
の
is it,
女。
Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let
彼
her
女
back
を
into
あなた
your
の人
life.
生に。
She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to read.
ガッチャ。出てみよ
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just
Sweetie?
pulling the bread out of the oven. All
う。こ
right.
れもなんかまたオフィスじゃん。
Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about
Your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a
嘘で
point
すか、
here,
これ。
Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside.
おい、
Let me
騙
show
され
you
た
what's
ぞ。
really going on here.
見せてくれるの。
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
プレス O。
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that
あ、
demands
こ
nothing
れ
of him.
私がスタンリーの
And
仕事
every
やらさ
button
れ
that
て
he
んだ。
pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
U を押してください。違うボタンとか押しても。あ、何も反応しない。
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen
まあ
this
そうだ
life.
よ。スタンリーさんは私から見たらこんな仕事やってらんねえ
But
って
in
思
his
うかもしれない
mind,
けど、スタンリーは幸
in
せ
his
だ。
mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the
あ、
unknown,
動けない。
fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
テレビを見るために G。
And so he began to fantasize about his own job.
何に
First,
も
he
見れないじゃ
imagined
ん。
that one day while at work, he stepped out from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth.
ああ、もうこの世界から全
Excited
員
him
消えちゃ
terribly.
ったっていう妄想がもしかしてこのランニーパラブルの
So
ゲーム
he went further.
になってるって
He
こと？
imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy
あ、
world,
なんか
he began
変
to
わっ
fill it
た。
with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls.
そうね、
Down
さっき
another
見
was
た
a
ね、
yellow
それ。
line that weaved in many directions.
イエロー
And
ライ
down
ン
another
TM
was
っ
a
てちゃん
game
と
with
書い
a
てある。
baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head,
うん、
he
これは
relived
頭
it
の、彼の
again
頭の
and
中
then
の
again and
こう
again,
ゲームにしたよ
over
ってい
and over,
う
wishing beyond hope that it
解
would
釈
never
のストー
end,
リー。
that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed.
だんだんオフィス
The
になってき
longer
た。
he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
X。
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button,
あ、
do not
押して
do
はいけ
it.
ない。押しちゃおう。
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
何も質問しないために H を押してください。
I
H をしちゃ
suppose
お
I
う。
can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this
こ
time
の
he'll
彼の
see.
スタンリーの頭の
Maybe
中の妄
this
想から
time.
だんだん現実に
And I
戻って
tried
きたっていう
again. And
ち
Stanley
死ん
pushed
で
a
ください
button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
死んだ死んだエンドにあったんだ。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
なんか
Perhaps he had simply missed a
割と
memo.
元に戻った感じがするな。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
まあ
This
右に
was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first,
従業員
just
ラ
to
ウンジね。
admire it.
こんな従
Standing
業員
now
ラウ
in
ン
this
ジなしの人
incredible
生なんて
room,
ありえないよ
Stanley
な、あ
for
の
the
従業
first
員ラウ
but
ンジ。
eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open
こ
door
こ
on
で
his left.
左のドアに入って て、そのま
And
んま
so he
抜けてみる。
detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
あ、これも曲がれるんだ。曲がると、あ、これがあれだね。さっきの選択で左に行った場合のドアってこと。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
これ上司の部屋で何か逆らえることってあった？
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret pin number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck.
すごいな。あ、でも開く場所は
He
一緒なん
stepped
だ。
into the newly opened passageway.
さっきのところに戻ってきたな。これであれだよな。監視カメラいっぱいの部屋に行くんだよな。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
エスケープがあるよ。
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth
さっき
was that
な
at
かっ
the
たよ
end
な、
of
多
this
分。
hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
この通路の終わりで非業の死を遂げるって言われてる。
The
そ
door
れでも
behind
進
him
む。
was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
いや、逆らうね。
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
あ、なんだ？赤い。下があんのか。あー、落ちちゃうってことね。あ、転落してしまったと彼は。もう足硬すぎ。
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise,
うわ、
it reflected
潰さ
that
れ
his
る。
life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture.
全体
He
像を
doesn't
捉え
know
る
the
ことがで
real
きませんじゃ
story,
ないよ。
trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life.
え、これ
Stanley,
もう何もできないの？あ、
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as
別の
Stanley was
ネ
led
タ。
helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the
あ、
machine
しかもなんか
crushed
この人
every bone
なん
in
か
his
なまってる
body,
の映画。
killing him
英語。
instantly.
足硬いよ、スタンリー。ザ・スタン
And
リ
yet
ー
it
パ
would
ラ
be
ブル。
just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office,
タイトル回
as
収。
alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
タイトル回収したぞ。でもなんか、行く先の道全然違うけど。
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same.
オフィス。
Do you see now? Do you see that
ボ
Stanley
タン
was
の音。
already
博
dead
物
from
館。
the moment he hit start?
博物館来ちゃった。ああ、これがマップね。これがスタート地点のところで、オフィスレイアウト。この青写真ではゲーム開始時のオフィスの様子が見られます。これはスタンリーのオフィスから2つのドアまでの経路で、このゲームで設計された最初の部分です。開発の間中追加変更されましたが、角度のレイアウトは最初のものとほぼ同じです。なるほどね。スタンリーのパソコン。 廊下。この冒頭部分のテンポが重要で、この廊下を動かしたり変更したりして、プレイヤーがいいタイミングで2つのドアへたどり着くようにしています。なるほどね。オフィスのパソコン。おい、遊んでるぞ。クレジット。そして、火の打ちどころのないくらいのナレーター。自分で言っちゃうんだな。これは何？メンテナンスルーム。なんか、さっき通ったね。メンテナンスルームは。当選地帯って何？開発当初、私たちはスタンリーがエイリアンと戦場で戦うエンディングをデザインしました。このアクションゲームは知覚を持ち始め、ナレーターと戦うことになるのです。私たちは作り始めてすぐに、これはこのゲームのトーンに対し冗談が過ぎるということに気がつきました。全然えぐいトーンの冗談あったけどね。さらにシューティング好きな人たちをからがっていると解釈する人もいましたが、そういう意図はありませんでした。なんかファイヤーウォッチとか、あそこら辺に飛ばされたこともありますけど、あれはおちょくってないんすか？ナレーターのメール。ナレーターへの質問メールを募集しました。そのメールの一部を紹介します。英語だ。ディアナレーターとかね。How do you make a JRPG? How do you make the first game ever? ナレーターにナレーターゲームの創造主だから何作ったって聞いてるの？ラウンジの最初のバージョン。簡素すぎ。アパートメントタイム。アパートの、なんかマネキンが出てくるやつか。前バージョンでアパートのエンディングへつながる選択肢で、電話に出るまでの時間が15秒間与えられていました。貨物リフト。見てなくない？ネタバレか？会議室。メンテナンスのレイアウト。なんかすごかったよな、ループするやつ。ゼンディングレバー。レバーとか見てない。ゼンディングって何？ゼンディングとして知られるエンディング。ゼンディングモデル。何これ。エスケープメニュー。なんかこれは初期のやつも博物館で飾ってるんだね。モニタールームエレベーター。フリーダムエンド。ベータ版にあったフリーダムエンド。ベータ版やってないからわからん。すごいな、博物館。見どころがめちゃくちゃある。上司のオフィス。オフィスの時計。これこっちはラウンジね。エスケープ。ナレーションのアウトテイク。これナレーションの使われてないテイク。すげえ。すごいんだけど、これこっからどう戻ればいいんだ？これ戻る道がなくないですか？ここね、なくなっちゃったし。誰か出してください。わかりました。すごいゲームだなってことは分かったんで。これも行ってない道。ここ行ってないか。こっちとかね。スタンリーのオフィス。年々変化について。 あ、なんかちょっと物の位置とかが変わってるのか。ゲームデザインモックアップ。ああ、めっちゃ初期のなんだろうな。あ、でもこれはここに来たよね。あ、エグジットが追加されてる。何
Oh,
笑ってんねん。
look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
オフ。
Can you
オフに
see?
すると。
Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
てか、あなたは誰よ。
But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no
エスケ
other
ー
way
プと
to
終了をして。
game.
あ、
As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only
いや、
true choice.
死んでみようぜ。
Whatever you do, choose it.
でもいいから
Don't
そう
let
してよ。
time choose for you. Don't let
女性ナレーターにもちゃんと逆らっていこう。これまた戻ってくるの？あ、ナレーター再開で
All
き
of
る
his
かな。
co-workers were gone. What
戻っ
did
てき
it
た
mean?
ね。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
いや、これなんか無限にできるな。ニューコンテント。
Oh, new
ニューコン
content?
テンツ。
What does that mean? New content.
お前も知らないの？うわぁ、アトラクションみたいに運ばれちゃうよ。うん。ディズニーみたいになってきた。
Hello,
運ば
and
れてっ
thank
て
you
る。
for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers.
そうだよね。すごい昔のゲーム
After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers.
歴
The
史を見せ
Stanley
られてる。
Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over.
ちょっと雑魚いディズニーみたいな感じあるし。
Step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable
全部
Ultra
ハリボテ出て
Deluxe.
きたディズニーのアトラ
Oh,
クショ
well,
ン。
this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the
めちゃ
thrilling
怖く
new
しちゃう。
Ultra Deluxe content.
ナレーターもウキウキなんだけど。
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
動きませんが。
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere? Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
やろうぜっつっても多分あれだぞ。またオフィスに戻されるとかでしょ。
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable
あ、
Ultra
ナレーターさん
Deluxe
からの批評。
mostly tedious. It's as if the
退屈。
Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
お、こっちか、開くのね。
All right. All right, let's see. It's the
ジャン
jump
プサー
circle.
クル。いやいや。こんなのコンテンツと呼ぶな。しょうがない。残り回数全部ジャンプするか。はい、終わり。はい、ジャンプできません。これが何なんだ。
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
そうだよね。あれだけで終わりじゃないよね。
Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is it what passes for exciting
そうだよ。エ
new
キサイティング
content?
な
If this
新
is
コン
new
テンツとまで言うん
content,
だ
then
か
I
ら。
could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content.
辞書とかを読んでね。
Oh, wait. There's more. Very good.
あ、まだこんなもんじゃ
I
ないよ。
knew there had to be something else. Let's see it.
Oh.
I'm ready for whatever it is.
なんて書いてある？
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You
Thank
see,
you for
Stanley,
enjoying the
this
new
is what
content.
happens when
新しいコンテンツを
greedy
楽しんでくれてあり
video
が
game
とう
developers
って
with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar.
おい、それ
And don't
各
get me
方面に
started
チ
on
ク
the
チクし
level
て
of
るって。
craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and
そうだよな。
I intend to
新
find
しい
these
コ
people
ン
on
テンツが
Twitter
こんな
and
もんだ
hold
った
them
ら。
personally accountable. It's my fault,
ツイ
Stanley.
ッターで
I
粘
built up
着し
too
て
much anticipation
リプを
around
送
the
る
new
つもりかこ
content,
い
I'm
つ。
afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about?
そう
No
だ。もう
frills, no
最初に
gimmicks,
戻ろう。
just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
そう、もう最初に戻ろう。最初に戻ってないよ。何ここ？
Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
え？なんて書いてある？コーヒーナット。え、ここ落ちていいんすか？何が始まるの？
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me
Jump
thinking about
cycle,
the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just
Nani,
our
Coco?
little secret. Take a look. I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive
Memory
the
zone.
peak experiences of my life
ああ、もう過去の栄
whenever I
光ね、
want.
これは。
Experiences like the launch of the
スタン
Stanley
リー・パラブ
Parable
ルの
on
この表彰
PC.
された
You
や
see,
つと
Stanley,
か、そうい
doesn't
う
the
こと。
Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release?
安っぽい再販
Remember
とか言う
back
な。
in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back
解
then,
雇中やんけ、
video
お前。
games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
ああ、エンディングだ、あれ。これさ、お墓みたいなのも立ってる。ああ、いらないよ、この BGM。何か感動的にするなって。
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like
あ、
the
レビューね。
stunning triumph of games journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com.
あ、なんか批評のサイトで10点中10点取ったんだ。
Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created. Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim. It was Persona 3. It was all of them. And now, it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now.
新しいエレベーターのコンテンツ1
With
時
an
間。
hour of new elevator content.
まあでも、作ってくれてるじゃん。メモリーゾーンメンテナンス。で、ナレーターがこんだけ作ってくれてんだったら、それでいいんじゃないですか。過去の栄光にすがりすぎなのでは。
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content.
でも新コン
It
テ
just
ン
needed
ツ
to
に
be
ブチギレ
left
しすぎて
alone
なんか
to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
なんかあるよ。ああ、これも過去の栄光ゾーンなんだね。
These were simpler times, Stanley.
お、入れる。
But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down
え、
here?
メモリーゾー
Oh,
ン
no.
の外側じゃん。
God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years.
あ、スチーム
I
の
can't
レ
even
ビューが
imagine
ここに
what's
集め
been
られてるん
collecting
だ。
down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
いや、わかんないぞ、スチームのレビューは。
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
すごい、あ、でも、ほら、ちゃんといいレビューとかもあるよ。
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I?
まあ、説教臭いか臭くないかだったら説教臭いけど。
Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to.
いろんなレビューが入り混じってる。
Otherwise
レビューの墓場だ。
unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps
まあ
the
でも、
Stanley Parable
す
isn't
べて
quite
の
as
人に好
sterling
かれ
as
る
I
は無理
always
だからね。
remembered.
たとえ
What's
いい
this
ゲー
one
ムであ
got
って
to
も。
say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's
ナレーターがずっとディスら
I
れて
wish
るんだ
there
よ
was
ね
a。skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm
Maybe
truly
I want
too
to-
preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I
いや、無理無理無理。
for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
いい評価も悪い評価もゲームではあるよ。
And here it is. Go ahead and...
あ、スキップボタン。
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue
あ、
full
ス
of
キップできたんだね。
unnecessary verb.
しちゃおう。
Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I
あ、
start
これ
to
を
go
押す
off
た
on
んび
a
に
thoughtless
ナ
display
レー
of
ターの言葉が全
self-absorption,
部飛ん
it's
じゃう。
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well,
長くなって
I
る。
want to say maybe 30, 45...
すごいスキップできるじゃん。
Stanley, please don't push the button again.
12時間。
hours.
やばい、これが次1
You've
日になっ
just
て
been
1週間になっ
frozen
て
there.
1ヶ月にな
I
って
don't know
1
why
年にな
the
って
skips are getting longer, but they're...
どんどん長くなるんでしょ。
Oh, Stanley, you're back.
あ、建物枯れてる。建物枯れてないや。植物が枯れてる。
Talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week.
1週間 ?2 週間
Oh, hello. It's you. You're
Ah,
here
Ohio.
again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we...
またスキップしちゃうよ。あれ、ナレーター。ナレーター起きて。ナレーターどっか行っちゃった なんかピーピーって言ってる。足音が聞こえる。本当にナレーターさんどっか行っちゃった？どれくらい時間が経ったんでしょうか。
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed.
またどっか行っちゃった。どんどんスキップしちゃうぞ。どこまでスキップできるんだろう。あ、壊れちゃったよ。戻ってきて。ああ、本当にバグっちゃった。なんか雨漏りしてる。ああ、建物壊れちゃった。雨漏りしてると思ったら本当に建物が壊れちゃった。これ上空。朝日が差し込んでるよ。ナレーターもいないし何をスキップしてんのかもうわかんないぞこれ。新しい生命がどんどん廃墟になっていくよこの建物。まずいって、何をスキップしてるんだもう私は一体。あ、植物もやがては枯れ。何が起きてるんだろう。もう外の状況がわかんない。何、悲鳴みたいなのが聞こえるけど。あ、ボタンも。あ、てか、建物が斜めになってる。あ、おっとこれこういう建物だったんだね。あ、もうスキップボタンは押せませんと。あー、広大な大地。明るい太陽。ね、それ以外はもう何もない。素晴らしい景色だね。何にも素晴らしくないよ。どうすりゃええねん、こっから。自由を手に入れたけど、ナレーションがないと何にもできないぞ。あ、戻してくれる？ああ、戻してくれた。待って、電話がある。何この電話。っていうか、なんか物変わってるな。電話だけじゃなくて多分。てかナレーターくんいなくなっちゃったな。あニューコンテント。
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
エキサイティングなもの？本当に？このちゃんとコンセントでね、引っ張ってきてんのがおもろいわ。しょうがないから見てあげよう。これさっきのザコイディズニーランドになるか？あそこはスキップなんだね。ニューコンテンツ。
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
あ、ザ・スタンリー・パラブル2。新作になったね。
Yes, you see, Isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience built from the
もう
ground up.
アセットとかもね
Why there are so many
新しくして
possibilities?
綺麗
It
に
could
し
go
て
in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
ザ・スタンリー・パラブル2。すごいなんか近代的なオフィスになったね。
I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable
まだ
2 is
内容
going
ない
to
ん
be,
だ。
but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it.
はい。
I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will
映画
sort
館
of
みたいな。
naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game
こんなに
development
簡
is
単な話
much
じゃ
more
な
of
くな
a
いか。
fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
わお。
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the
オ
new
フィスデコレーション。ザ・スタンリー・パラブル安心のバケツって何？このゲームをプレイしている人の名前を言うボタン。いや、いいです、それは。そんなコンテンツがあっても。いらん。なんだこれ、また新しい博物館じゃん。フリーニューイージーアチーブメント。ゲットイテヒアー。行ってみるか。なんか戻っちゃいそうだ。ジャンプサークルだ。でもジャンプサークルは、あれなんだね。
Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's a... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we
そう
saw
で
the
す。
jump
全部のジャン
circle.
プ使っちゃいました。
Oh, well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
ジャンプって共通なの？ジャンプって共通で消費される。
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think?
あれですよね。ウルトラデラックスでちょっと大行な感じするよね。
But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement.
す
Collectibles.
げえ。
Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley
どんどん奥に行ける。
figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them.
なんかよ
I
く見
don't
たら
want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
何これ何いらんコレクション要素ってこと？コレクトゼムオール。彼らを全部集めようと。
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
なんか穴っすか？この穴があるから何なんだっていう。すごいなんかよくわかんない説明が書いてある。なんすかこれ。
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down
永遠に
forever.
落
That's right.
ち続けられる穴。
You can fall until the end of time if you like.
好きなだけ
A
落ち続けられ
stunning
ま
leap forward for
す。
video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite,
でも穴に無限に落ちたいっていう時ないけどね。
to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward.
あ、地上に戻るんだ。じゃあちょっと
Hmm.
落ちてみよう
Now,
か
I
な。
don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later.
そう言われちゃうと
spectrum
ちょ
of
っと反
things.
抗したいな。
Okay, Stanley. I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature
そ
of
こ
the
があ
hole.
るってこと？
Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is
おい、
it
嘘ついたな。
infinite? Well, that sort of depends
無
on
限
your
の定義とか
definition
じゃない
of
だろ。
infinity.
嘘
From
だぞ、
one
それは。
perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom
あー
of
め
the
っ
hole.
ちゃ上ち
You
っ
found
ちゃ
out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think
嘘
what
つ
they
きに
should
するや
feel
つ。お
is
い、タ
just
バコ
that
捨ててる
you're
人いるって。
unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely?
別
I
に反
figured
抗
the
したかっ
hole
た
was
だけ
as
だか
deep
ら。
as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I
あ、も
think
うこ
we
れ知恵
both
をした
said
ら
some
戻れない
things
の
we
に。
didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to
ほ
just
ぼ無
call
限
the
の穴って
hole
なんだよ。
mostly
有限だぞ。
infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
これでずっと待ってたらなんか言ってくれるのかな、ナレーター。気になっちゃうわ。特にないのかな。戻るか。
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show. Oh, for heaven. You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much.
普通じゃない。
A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to
Oh,
you
no,
this
確かに
time?
近くなっ
I
てる。
couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled.
もう一回落ちちゃうも
Gosh,
ん。
how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where...
あれなんか、だいぶ短いな。
Okay, yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less
無
and
限
less
にどん
infinite.
どん小さくなって
I
きてる。
suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no
そう
longer
で全
feasible
然
to
上
call
見え
the
てるも
hole
んね。
infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's
試して
pop
みる。
back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of my life.
おい、
What is
短くなり
this
すぎだっ
appealing
て。
to you?
ジャンプ
I know
で
you're
きない
obsessed with holes,
か
but
ら、
at this
ジャンプでき
depth,
ない。
I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
これ、
Is the
そうね、テレポートボタン引かないで
teleport
す
button。not working?
戻れないです
You
よ。
sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment. Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for.
いやいや、
It's
こんな
a
結末
win
を
for
望んでたわ
everyone.
けじゃない
You
ぞ。
get to be with the hole. I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
あ、ナレーター、本当にどっか行っちゃった。ジャンプできないから出らんないんだよね。あ、穴を目いっぱい楽しもう。何この不穏な音。なんかすごい不穏な音がするけど。もう何もできない。お、落ちてきてる。穴が。このまま下まで行っちゃうんだ。もう助けてくれるナレーターもいないし。なんで感動的な音楽なんだこれ。あ、もう上には戻れない。非常に別れを告げて地下に行きましょう。視点を変えるって何？この効果音何？スタンリーこんな感じだったんだ。 れだから何なんだこれ。認識を変える。BGM が変わってく。これ BGM のこと認識って言ってるこの人たち。もしかして。だいぶうるさいしな。いや怖っ。あ、これかわいいじゃん。この曲何？しかも濃いね。かわいいね。あなた自身を変える。うわ、ロボットになってる。これ何？可愛くなってる。そう、背景をデスクトップみたいな背景になった。モアイ像ね。あ、世界遺産巡りみたいになってきてる。ミジンコいいじゃん。ミジンコになろう。
Stanley? Stanley?
エラー。あ、おお、戻された。
You're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland.
あれ夢だったん
Can't
だ。
have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really truly focused
集
on
中
the
し続
hole?
けられるよ。夢の
From the
中
looks
で
of
も穴の
things,
夢見てた
you
んで
and
す
I
けど
will
ね。
have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodlepip.
助けてくれるわけじゃないんだ。また始まった。また落ちていくのこれ。あ、さすがに。ヘンリー・パ
Here
ラ
we
ブル
are.
2の
Go on. Try out
新
some
機能
of
に
the new
戻ってきた。
features. Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday
12歳の
and
誕
Happy
生日おめで
12th
とう。スタンリ
Birthday.
ー・
Which
パラ
would
ブ
you
ル
go
が。
with?
まあ12年も経ってないんじゃねえの？
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along.
お
Get
い、
well someday it is.
逆張りすることがバレてるんだけど。すごい T シャツとか持ってる。逆張りがバレてたよ今。風船普通に選んだのに。エグジットに行きたい。エグジットするか。普通にここはエグジットしてみよう。
Oh goodness, Stanley, this is fairly
なんで
awkward.
防
I
ぐんだ。
hate to do this, but before you leave, you really should go
何
to
バ
the
ケツの
bucket
展示っ
exhibit.
て。
You see, there's a surprise I was going to spring on you later, and it involves the bucket. And I really do
buckets, eh?
hate to break the illusion, but it's important that you go see the bucket, okay? All right, I'll get out of your hair now.
あ、ないな。バケツに行きません。もう全部逆らっていこう。ここ見てみたいな。フリーニューイージーアチーブメント。うわ、暗。
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well,
What
I'm
test
developing a
logistic,
technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever and when... Okay,
Gotcha.
perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist.
Oh,
Right now,
mouse
the
is nice.
achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but
Oh,
I
damage.
guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you. and I promise it will happen.
そんなことないぞ多分。確かに実績を解除するためだけにゲームやっ
What
たりも
else?
するけど、
What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
どうしてもバケツに行かせたいじゃん。もう行ってあげないぞ。そこまで言われると逆に言ってあげたくないから、このまま出ちゃおう。なんかバッグがある。
No? You're just going to ignore my advice? Fine. No fun new content for you then. You're the one who spent money on this game.
まあ確かにね、買ったのは私だし。
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
じゃーん。
I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on.
No
Let me
comment
do a
today.
different arrangement.
入らせてくれ。
Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2.
でもゲームって見た目じゃ
Who
な
am
い
I
から
kidding,
な。
Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to
そうだよ
anything.
ね。大事なのは内容だよ。
I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay
そう
of
だ
the
ね。
original.
内容、
Wait.
ゲーム性が大事だよね。
Maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well,
もうなんか急
insert
に
a few of my new features into it.
メガネカチャカチャっつって頭冴え
With
てきたぞ。
respect, with care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could, but it would need a
そう
really,
ね。で、そして生まれたの
tremendous
がってこと
title
ね。
screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2." Let me see if I can whip something up.
ちゃっちゃと作ってみよう。
Go ahead. Take a look.
ザ・スタンリー・パラブル2。あ、すごい。最初の画面が。ぐにゃんぐにゃんしてるよ。ゲーム始めてみようね。
This is the story.
あ、スキップ。スタンリー・パラブル2ですか。
All of this coworkers
風
had
船浮い
gone.
てる。
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
さっきね、役張りしたやつね。ニューコンテンツ、そういえばどうなるの？エキスポホール。ニューコンテンツはエキスポホールになったのね。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
これ2になって何か変わるのか。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his
ちゃん
boss's
と上司
office.
の部屋ルート行こう。
The moment
2845
he
だっ
entered
け。
his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy.
ナレーターに
So
喋
he
る隙を与え
relaxed
ずに
for a
ど
few
んどん進めちゃ
moments
う。
with some calming new age music.
おい、勝手にリラックスさせるなって。
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
冷静に入っていくから。待ってよ。実績のやつがあるじゃん。
One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job
実績
well
ってそういうもん
done.
だ
You
から。
can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across
重い
one of
重
these
い。
beautiful
たかがフィギュア
figurines.
1個で。あ、これ6個集めたいな。ローディング。これでどうしよう。どっち行ってみようかな。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind
Escape してみよう。
Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape
これで
written
も
on
うずっ
it,
と
the
まっす
truth
ぐ行ってみ
was
よ
that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
う。記号の死を遂げるぜ。
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still
2
had
になっ
every
たら女性
opportunity
ナ
to
レーター
turn
とかどう
around
な
and
るんだ
get
ろう
back
とか
on
ね。
track.
この辺が気になる。
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
ガーッと開いてここ落ちるんだね。落ちます。で、まだ足が硬くてボンってね。
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end
心よく
to
受
his
け入れちゃう
brief
の
and
ね。
shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
で、ここで、あ、
Farewell, Stanley, cried the
ナレータ
narrator,
ー来ま
as
したね。
Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single
メタルジョ
visceral
ーズって言っ
instant,
た。
Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
ポン。
And yet it would
さっ
be
き見た
just
と
a
ころに
few
来たぞ。
minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
これさっきと変わん
When
ないかもし
every
れない。
path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes
あ、2になっ
meaningless,
てもここは変わ
making
んないんだ
life
な。
the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
急に哲学みたいなこと言い出すから。これでどっかにエグジット、この横にエグジットがね、あり。これ何なんだ？押せそうだよね。ちょっと気になる。
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another.
さっきと変
How
わら
they
な
wish
そ
to
う。
control one another. How they both wish to be free.
オフ。
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No.
言ってることが
perhaps
さっきと変わらん。こ
not.
れは変わらん。
Sometimes
エ
these things
ン
cannot
ド
be
変わらな
seen.
そう。
But listen to me. You can still save those two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game.
このゲームに
As
勝
long
つ
as
に
you
は。
move forward, you'll be
勝ち負
walking
けなんだ。
someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
あら、本当に変わんなかったな。いや戻ってきても、あ、仕様は2なんだ。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
なんかあと1エン
Stanley
ドぐらい見
decided
た
to
ら
go
寝
to
よ
the
うか
meeting
な。
room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
ニューコンテンツ、エキスポは一旦やめ
When
て。
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
でこっち行って
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
これ何？これ下に降りたらさすがに死ぬかな。
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one
あ、
gets
これ
to
C
tell him
エン
what
ド
to
がちゃんとあ
do,
るんだ。
Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you're very
Good job じゃ
powerful.
ないよ。皮肉を言われちゃった。あ、でもまた戻ってこれるんだね。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had
Meeting today.
simply missed a memo.
このバルーンうざいな。エキスポ行ってみるか。バケツ取ってこようかな。そしたらなんかバケツを見てくれって言ってたから。
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how roundly disappointing
またこれ
this
聞かされる。
ultra deluxe version has turned out
聞いた
to
ぞ。
be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley parable.
いや今やってるんだよね。スタンリーパラブル2を。
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been
New
developing
contents
for
bus.
it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them.
バケツ
It'll all
どこ
work
こっち
itself.
か。
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
バケツしょうがないから見てあげよ
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a
根本
clever
的な問
solution
題の
to
解
this
決。
fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see,
安
Stanley,
心のバケ
anytime
ツ。
you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease
そんな
will
ことは
fill
ない
your
けどね。
mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you
バ
hold
ケ
on
ツを
to
持
the
ってそんな
bucket,
感情にな
the
ること
many
ないです。
disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal
酔い
and
そう、
perhaps
酔いそうな矛
even
盾。
comforting. You may
どういうこと？
even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance
あげてくれ。
while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more
おい
convenient
くれよ。
solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain
そ
in
れ
the
がど
ass
んな
that
にう
would
ざい
be?
ことか。
Yes, the bucket is the perfect
これを持っ
solution.
てたら解決なんだね。
Give it a try.
何笑ってんね。
Can you feel
悪魔
it?
の笑いだぞ。
The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in
バ
fact,
ケツを何だと
can
思
I
って
say
んの？
that I do believe
逆
the
に
bucket lends you an air of charisma
神
as
聖な
well.
ものとして揃
I
え
think
すぎ
that
な
just
気がす
holding
る。
it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person.
嫌だけどね、街中でバケツ歩いてる人、バケツ持って歩いてる人いても
All
何も
this
感
and
じないけどね。
more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
バケツ、何バケツ持ったままになっ
Does
ちゃう
anyone
の？
give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game?
そんな賞ない
There
だろ。
should be an award
ナンバー
if
ワ
it
ンじゃなくて
isn't
オンリー
already.
ワンだからね。
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think?
ま
Ultra
あそれはちょっと
Deluxe?
そうか
What
も
does
し
it
れない。
even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement, right? All right, have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
バケツを持ったらもうなんかちゃんと進ませてくれるんだ。これ見たからな。
So,
もう一回
Stanley,
見ろと。
what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment.
2になってからのいい感じの追加要素、今んとこバケツしか
and
ない
we'll
け
see
ど。
whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go.
これバケツを持ったまま何すんだ。建物
Who am
曲
I
がって
kidding,
るしな。
Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of
そ
the
うだよ。
original.
ゲームはゲーム性が大事だよ。
Maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really
で、
tremendous
さっきのタイトル
title
画面に
screen.
戻
A
るとね。
title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, this is the
今2
Stanley
になってから
Parable
マジで
2.
やれてんのバケツだけ
Let
な
me
ん
see
だ
if
け
I
ど。
can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead.
や
Take
っ
a
ぱすごいな。ちゃちゃっと作ってみようでタイトル画面作れるのすごいよ。ああ、戻ってき
All
た
of his
し、
co-workers were
バケツ
gone.
もなくなっ
What
た
could
ね。
it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting. Perhaps he
ちょ
had
っと待
simply
って。
missed a memo.
バケツあるじゃん。
Stanley picked up the bucket.
なんでこんなところにバケツがあるんだ。こんな通れなくなってる。全然通れるけど。そこを塞いだところで何の意味もないけど。このバケツはマジでない。
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest
左のドア
and
にな
entered the door on his left.
バケツを持って左のドアになってる。そうだよね。なんか変わってる。スタチューがどこにあるか教えてくれてんだ。全部集めるのめちゃくちゃ骨が折れそう。
Coming to a staircase,
これ下に
Stanley and the
行って
bucket
みよう。
walked upstairs to the boss's
バケ
office.
スタンリーとバケツになってる。あった。
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands? Stanley
Mini
figs.
stands.
What about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that.
言いにくい。
Another Stanlerine under your belt.
スタンルリーンじゃないんだよ。あ、
But
これなん
Stanley
か
just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his
あれ
boss,
か、ぐるぐる
admitting he had left
ぐる
his
ぐるエ
post
ンドの
during
道。
work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would
これ
think
バ
he
ケツ
was
持ってると
crazy.
なんかあったり
And
するか
then
な。
something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms.
バケツを見
Am
下ろ
I
しました。
crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all.
そうだよ。
That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these.
逆に狂ってるけど
He
ね、バケ
held
ツ
the
が
bucket
導い
close,
てくれる
yet felt
のがあ
none
れ
of
ば。
its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket,
あ、
perhaps.
これは自
How
分
did
のバ
I
ケ
end
ツ
up
じゃない
with
と。
someone else's bucket? This is all
い
terribly
つも
wrong.
自分を導いてくれ
Surely
るあ
no
のバ
good
ケ
would
ツ
come
じゃな
from
いと。
this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience
あ、バケ
without
ツ
the
が消えた。
psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it?
Buckets.
I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him. Stanley! Stanley, it's me!
バケツが話しかけてくる。
Could it truly be?
あ、
He rushed
バ
forward
ケツが
from
めちゃ
room
くちゃ
to
ある。
room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his
あ、全部
special
違うんだ。
bucket. Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
スペシャルバケ
He
ツって
had to
何？
find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him. All
何
along.
彼の中にいたって。
It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
え？バケツが体内に？
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
あ、マリエラになった。
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security,
君もバケツを持つんだ
and
ね。
walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a
もう
man
何もか
who
もが
had
バケツに
stumbled
支配
through
されてる。
town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course, he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of
バ
his
ケツを持って
actions
ない
and
のは
how
もう異常
everything
なん
is
だ。
predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him.
自分のバケツさえ持っ
Perhaps
てい
he
れば。
didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity.
怖いよ、この世界のバケ
And
ツ。
yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass.
私の人生やべえわ。
All the way to work.
全然気が狂ってるけどね。いやー、面白かったな。時間も時間なので、ここら辺で終わりたいと思います。いやバケツ、ね。バケツって大事だね。人生ってやっぱバケツに
Stanley
導
had
いても
never
らわ
seen
ない
the
と
office
始めれ
this
ないから
brightly
ね。
lit. Was it a sign
あ、
of
なんか
something?
新しいの
He
始まっちゃっ
hoped it
た。い
was. He hoped very much that it was.
や、今日はここで終わろう、さすがに。ということで、見てくださった方、ありがとうございました。ね、皆さんもバケツを持ってね、人生楽しみましょう。ということで、これ、大丈夫か。じゃあ、見てくださった方、ありがとうございました。お疲れ様です。